I'm now joined by Soraya Martinez Ferrada, the Federal Minister of Tourism. Minister, good to see you.
Hello, Andrew.
So this GST pause announced today, it would start on December the 14th. That's just 23 days away, and we've seen government business blocked essentially for the last 2 months. So procedurally and practically, how will you get these measures through Parliament by then?
Well, of course, as you know, we have a great colleague, which is the House Leader, and she will be very busy in the next few days to talk to other parties to make sure that we move this forward. I think everybody wants to give a Christmas break to Canadians, and I hope that the Conservative will stop the obstruction they're doing in the House so we can actually move forward on real help for Canadians. And I think that's what we presented today to the House, and I'm hopeful that they'll do the right thing, which is, give a tax breaks to Canadians during Christmas time. Okay,
so the NDP has said that it will support you on this bill, even if that means pausing the ongoing privilege debate. However, that party says, look, you didn't go far enough with this. So why not go farther and implement what the NDP had been calling for, which is removing the GST outright on essential items and on monthly bills permanently?
Well, I mean, one thing is for sure. We've been working for the past, all mandates as a government, to work on for affordability. We have done many things all the way through the pandemic to now. And, doing something like we presented today, it's not something that you think about in a 24-hour thing. I think Minister Freeland has been working this for quite some time. And we have to do it in a way that we do have to have a measure that is meaningful, which is a real tax break during Christmas time, and do it in a way that is fiscally responsible, which in somehow this is what it is. So we have to choose items that were addressed in this measure, helping families with diapers, helping single persons that want to go to the restaurant and be able to pay a bit less, because during the Christmas time that's where it costs the most. And that's where, we need to do this now. But again, we have to do it in a fiscal frame that is responsible, but also very meaningful. And that's what we presented today.
Okay, let me ask you about the fiscal side of this then, because these measures are an estimated $6.3 billion, which is a lot of money. So how will that affect your government's fiscal position? Because we are, of course, waiting for a fall statement from your government. We are then waiting for a spring budget.
Yes, well, we have done many things to help the global inflation that we are facing. We've been a government that's been responsible on that front. We got the inflation down to under 2%. The rate of interest rates have gone down. We're in a position right now that we can actually do this, and that's why we're doing it. That's what's fiscally responsible. But it is responsible for our government to help Canadians that are actually, having a hard time, and it is what we're doing as Liberal government to make sure that we're giving a tax break for people in the most joyful period of time that has to be joyful. And Christmas needs to be joyful, and for that you need to pay less for the goods that you need to buy for your family, for your kids, for your mother if you don't have any kids, but making sure that you're during the Christmas time having a good time, and not thinking about that it's going to cost you so much because you're paying over that price, the GST, and we're taking that away from you during this period of time.
Okay, you've talked about the holiday season, so let me ask you about the timeline. If this 2-month period comes and goes, we get to the middle of February, and these affordability concerns are still here, these cost of living concerns are still here, would the government extend these measures?
Well, I mean, what we're doing after that is, and we presented that today, is we're giving a cash back to working Canadians that will, be able to receive them in the spring. So yes, we're doing a tax break during Christmas, but also telling Canadians, working Canadians, that will get a cash back in the spring. So making sure that we're also there in the spring, well, they'll need it also some kind of support to, be able to go through the affordability situation that we have right now.
Okay, let me ask you about that check then. This is a $250 check going to anyone who worked in 2023 and made under $150,000. I want to ask you, how did you arrive at that number, that $150,000 cutoff? And what about people who weren't working last year and might need support?
Well, you have to know that we have a lot of measures already in government that help a lot of people that are in a very vulnerable position. We have the child benefit. We have put in place daycare, so making sure that Canadians across the country are paying $10 day child care. Put in dental support to make sure that people can afford dental care. We have rent benefits. You know, over thousands of people across the country are receiving rent benefits that allows them to pay and help them to pay their rent. So we have a lot of measures already in place that help a lot of vulnerable people in this country. Now, what we did is saying, okay, if you are very vulnerable, yes, this is very hard, and we're doing a lot to help you, and we're going to do a little bit more with a cashback. But there's also people that are, you know, working very hard, doing $150,000 a year. But life is really hard right now, and we understand that affordability touches everyone. And yes, we have measure for a family of, you know, that has kids, but we have to help the single woman, a single worker that doesn't have any kids and doesn't have any help from the government. And this is a measure that also will help them out a bit in the spring.
Okay, very quickly, you mentioned the word inflation, and I want to close on that because Prime Minister Trudeau has told interviewers that essentially as soon as you send out more money in benefits, then inflation goes up by that amount. So how can your government be sure that won't be the case here? Because we have a very strong economy position right now. In the G7, we have one of the best economy in terms of the best rate, like the rates came down, the first country in the G7 where the rates came down. Inflation has been under 2% for months and months. We're in a position right now that we can do this because we know that we have done what we had to do to make sure that the fiscal frame of Canada is not in jeopardy. All right, we'll have to leave it there. Minister Soraya Martinez Ferrada, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.